Opo Simon, Sergeant at Arms.
My name is Danson Mwashako, Member of Parliament Undanyi and a member of this.
Ruto Odinga, Member of Kisumu.
My name is Dede Nyoro, MP for Kiharu constituency and the Chairman of the Budget.
Ali Wario, Member for Garsen, Member of this committee.
Good afternoon, my name is Japheth Nyakundi, Member of Parliament for
Rehab Mukami, County MP Nyeri, Member of this committee.
Sierra list. My name is Lois Olesia.
Musalia Mudavadi, acting CS for the National Treasury. Now, Mr. Chairman, to realize the above mentioned realignment, the fiscal framework for the financial year 2024-25 budget has also been revised in the following manner. And I draw members to page 8, which deals with the revenue projections. Paragraph 15, the total revenue, including appropriations in aid, has been revised to 3,057.4 billion. That is 3 trillion, basically, which amounts to 16.9% of GDP, and it comprises of ordinary revenues of 2.6 trillion and A&A of about 425 or 26 billion. The point figures are there. The review of the revenues has taken into account the base effect arising from the outcome of the collections in the financial year 2023 to 24, and then withdrawal of the Finance Bill 2024 and impact of the withdrawn Land Act Amendment Bill, because that has also been withdrawn. The revised revenue projections also include additional revenue expected to come from the extension of the ongoing tax amnesty. We project that we could raise up to 30 billion from the ongoing tax amnesty. And then we hope to raise by winding down 47 state-owned enterprises, we could raise 7.3 billion Kenya shillings. And then we also realize that there'll be an impact of an increase in road maintenance levy, where we can raise close to 32 billion, which we propose to accrue to the Exchequer. The net of these adjustments are also indicated on the table below, that is table 3. But basically, what we are beginning to bring out is that the impact of the withdrawal of the finance bill is extremely heavy on us as a country. Now, what are the expenditure projections? On paragraph 17, our projections have been revised to 3.8 trillion. That is 21.4% of GDP. And this comprises a recurrent of about 2.8 billion, 15.7% of GDP, and the development of expenditure now drops to Kenya shillings 579 billion. That is only 3.2% of GDP. That, Mr. Chairman, is the development expenditure, just 3.2% of GDP. That is a very, very big hit. The total allocation of shareable revenue to county government is projected at 410.9 billion Kenya shillings. That is 2.3% of GDP, which is inclusive of the 30.8, the carryover that I referred to. And then we have an allocation to the contingency fund of 4 billion. Mr. Chairman, at paragraph 18, because you will notice that the expenditure, even though we have gone cut back, but there's a financing deficit that is now arising. This fiscal deficit, including grants, has been revised to Kenya shilling 761 billion, that is 4.2% of GDP, in the financial year 2024-2025. Before the withdrawal of the Finance Act, the projection here was about 3.2% of GDP as the fiscal deficit, but now it has had to widen. This fiscal deficit will be financed by net borrowing of 356.4 billion, that is 2% of GDP, and net domestic borrowing of 404.6 billion, 2.2% of GDP. The overall gross change in the financial year 2024-25 national government budget, Mr. Chairman, again is indicated in Table 4. The overall gross change in the financial year 2024-25 budget is a reduction of 121.8 billion, which reflects 1.9%, which is within the provisions of Article 223 of the Constitution.
This is unprecedented, where we are having a supplementary budget barely below a month after we pass the main budget. We are actually having the supplementary budget, but to us, technically, we know it is actually the main budget, because we never had a chance also to implement the budget that we passed and was signed into law by the President and became the Appropriations Act. And therefore, what we'll be doing today, to the benefit of all Kenyans, is actually the main budget. It's only called the supplementary one because there is no other semantics for it. Members, we passed a budget of over 4 trillion shillings. We have had now to relook at what we need to do now, because the budget we passed just shy of 4 trillion. It was 4.992 trillion. We had hoped that after passing the expenditure side of the budget, then the budget will be funded. But the Kenyan people told us we need to do something, our things differently. And therefore, we then had to make an arrangement where our revenue side of the budget matches with the expenditure side. Because the revenue raising measures, if they are not there, then it means even the expenditure cannot continue to exist as it was. Therefore, what we are doing is two-way, and will be enumerated better by the National Treasury. It is to borrow slightly more. We had a budget then with a fiscal deficit of 3.83%. Currently, we are now having one before us, which is around 4.2 to 4.3% deficit to GDP ratio. It means we are borrowing slightly more. On the other hand, we have had now to look at ourselves internally and inward, and therefore look at expenditure that we can postpone and others that we could cancel, so that we are able to live in a manner that matches the revenue that we expect. And in that respect then, we have been holding Your Excellency meetings with the departmental committees. All of them without exemption have had budget cuts. And all of them, I want to appreciate all the members of parliament through the departmental committees that they are members in, that we have decided, all of us, that these times are different, and therefore we need to think differently. And for the first time, Your Excellency, in my terms in service of Kenyans as an MP, I've never had any other chance where CDF is being cut and there seems to be no one complaining about it. This is the first time I have seen. And we are doing that because we know where we are, and we really need to look at our financials and live within our means. Also, Your Excellency, we are cutting this budget across all levels of government and across all departments of government. We are actually looking at the equitable share, which is likely also to have a haircut of 20 billion. the parliament itself, parliament is losing 3.7 billion Kenya shillings. And also the national government is losing. Every other person has to contribute to this deficit. There are things that we have gone through as a parliament, through the departmental committees, and we feel that as also the representatives of the people of Kenya, even when there is a very, very thin fiscal space, there are things that we have decided as budget committee, representing all the members of parliament, that even if there is not enough money, there are things that we have decided that we must fund. One of those things, honorable members, is that we have decided, and the education committee appeared before us, that the 46,000 JSS interns who have been almost volunteering in our learning institutions, being paid monies that are not commensurate with the work they are doing, that we have to provide monies for their confirmation to permanent and pensionable terms. The second thing that we have looked at as the committee, and we feel it is very important for us to fund, is the UHC staff who have also been in those kind of situations. There are also some other staff within our healthcare who have also been in internships, and we are also looking forward into funding their confirmation into permanent and pensionable. The other thing that we looked at through the Departmental Committee of Agriculture is that we are going to be funding the fertilizer subsidy to a tune of 10 billion Kenya shillings. And on top of that, Your Excellency, also, we purpose also to fund other critical areas. For example, the new KCC, we are providing for them over 2 billion shillings, 1.5 billion shillings, which will be going into stabilizing raw milk prices. When it rains, milk prices go down and the farmers lose. So we are giving new KCC 1.5 billion Kenya shillings to act as defense for the milk prices when it comes to what the farmers get, so that farmers can get at the very least 50 shillings per litre, and therefore we are providing for 53, so that at around 3 shillings we'll take care of the SACCOs management and the farmers get their fair share. We have also included monies for coffee, cherry fund, more over 2 billion shillings. We have also provided monies 2 billion to start clearing coffee debts for the coffee farmers. At the same time, we have provided monies for sugar reforms for sugar farmers who have had arrears owed to public factories, and also in terms of technology enhancement within the sugar sector, so that we improve the sugar sector to be sucrose based other than just weight. There are many things that we have considered, but I want to first stop there, even knowing that Your Excellency, there are expectations on this committee. We had the Maraga Commission, which went around our security organs, and they have there provided that our security officers deserve an immediate enhancement of their take-home and salaries. We are looking for ways, if it comes, we will be glad that also we honor the task force by seeing what we can do, so that we also incorporate their views in the budget making process.
This is really unprecedented because it's the first time in the history of Kenya that a supplementary estimate is coming into place barely a month after the new financial year comes into force. So we are truly living in completely uncharted waters, and therefore this calls for very tough measures. I think, let me just put it on record, that I'm acting in so many ministries, but I want to assure Kenyans I'm not earning any acting allowance. Because tough times call for austerity measures. So I think it should go on record that that is the position. Let me discount immediately that the airport, Jomo Kenyatta Airport, is not on sale. This is a public asset. It is a strategic asset. And if it was going to be sold, you can only do it after a full public process that Parliament endorses. So anybody who is giving the impression that the airport, Jomo Kenyatta Airport, has been sold is not being factual. It is not true. What we need to appreciate is that we will need to modernize our airport. And that means investment will have to take place at the airport. We need a new terminal. You remember there was a greenfield terminal, but it never took off. The contractual engagement had its challenges. There was litigation, it stalled, and the rest is history because it's stalled in court. So what we know that is important is that going forward, the Kenya Airports Authority must look at its investment program very, very carefully, make sure that everything is transparent, so that during the expansion process of the second terminal, if it is under PPP arrangement, and that will let it be done properly, thoroughly, through the legal process, so that everybody knows what is going on. But I want to assure Kenyans that the Kenya Airports Authority is not up for sale. The other thing that I want to mention to Kenyans is that one of our long-term strategies is to create Nairobi as a logistical hub. And we are talking even with the United Nations offices in Nairobi, so that apart from just the new terminal that will come up, we want to create Jomo Kenyatta Airport, have part of Mombasa at the port, and have all through to Naivasha logistics hubs that meet certain standards, so that the United Nations can use this destination, Kenya, as a logistical hub for their operations. Just the way there's a logistics hub in Italy, Brindisi, by the United Nations. So these are some of the long-term objectives we have around the Jomo Kenyatta Airport, but it's not for sale. So I hope that clears